Weak glutes can cause many problems, including low back pain. So this workout will target these underused muscles to get rock solid buns of steel. Hi everyone, and welcome to Exercise for Health. I'm Richard, and today I have a workout to fire up your glutes and strengthen them. If you're new to this channel, we offer tips, advice and exercises to help you manage your health condition with physical activity. So go ahead and tap the subscribe button below and the bell icon if you want to be notified of when we upload a new video. So last week I provided signs and symptoms for weak glutes. These are the muscles around your buttocks that extend the hip, abduct the hip, rotate the hip, as well as provide stability to the pelvis. In this workout, we will perform exercises without the need for any additional equipment that target this muscle group, and even the warm-up exercises will be activating them. There are 8 exercises, including 4 in a standing position and 4 on the floor. So have a comfortable mat ready if you think you'll need one. This won't be cardiovascular in nature, however, it will be a butt burner, so expect some muscle soreness a day or two after you've completed this. Okay, let's get started. Right, let's do a quick warm up for the glutes then before we go into the main exercises. Let's start with a walk on the spot, just to get the body moving, get the hips moving a bit. Okay, what we're going to do is go into a side step. So from there, I just want you to take a step to the left, step to the right. So we're not actually bringing the feet too close together, and really focus on driving off the foot to push that foot away from you, which is going to then really work into the side of the hip. So you start to fire up these muscles around the side. So really push, drive yourself off. If you want to if you can go wider, go wider. Good. So the next one we're going to do is turn that side step into more of a hop. So you can either just do it so you're not putting the other foot on the floor, or you can make it more of a jump in action if you feel that you can. So it just creates a little bit of stability for the muscles around the hip as you land on the foot and then drive off again. Good. If that's too much impact, you can just do it as a step without putting the other foot on the floor. So it's not so much of a jump. Good. Right, the next one is we're going to abduct the hip with a straight leg raise out to the side. As we do that, we'll do it with the arms as well. So leg straight, just lift it out to the side. Not too fast with this one. Again, we're just trying to fire up those muscles around the side of the hip as you raise the leg out to the side. Depending on your mobility will depend on how high you can get your leg, but you don't need to get it that high. If you can get it to about 45 degrees, fantastic. That should be high enough. Good. And then the next one we're going to do is we're going to do a hip extension. So this is where we're keeping the leg straight and we're going to take it back behind you. At the same time, we're going to raise the arms up to the front. So keep your legs straight at the knee as you do this one. Don't allow your body to go forwards because that won't extend the hip. So keep the body upright, up nice and tall. If you want to add a little bit of rotation into the hip, you can, so turning the toes outwards as the leg goes back behind you. And you'll really start to feel that into the gluteus maximus, this main muscle around the back of your bottom. Good. Okay, next one we're going to do is a bit of a dynamic stretch for the glutes. So we're going to bring the knee up and across the body. So we're introducing a little bit of a stretch to that muscle. If you want to, you can have your hands there as a guide. So think about lifting the knee up towards the opposite shoulder. Get up as high as you can. Really drive that knee up. Good. Okay, we're going to do one more, which is similar to this one, but this time we're going to rotate the hip. So have your hands down low for this one, and we're going to bring the foot up towards the opposite hand. So we're adding in this rotation of the hip. Again, just so you'll feel that around the side of your bottom a little bit. Good. Okay. Right, just feet about shoulder width wide, hands on your hips, just circle the hips around a little bit, just to loosen off those muscles. And the other way. Okay, right, you should be ready now for the main exercises. So let's start with the first one, which is reverse lunges. So with a reverse lunge, what I want you to do is start off with your feet about shoulder width wide. Imagine you've got your feet on a set of train tracks, because as you take one foot back, which is the reverse lunge action, I want you to make sure you keep it on the same side of the track. So you're not going to bring it across the body and have it in line with the other foot. So you've got to keep the width of your stance, but essentially you're going to take a step back. So the back foot's on the ball of the foot. Allow this front knee to bend and also allow your body to hip hinge a little bit. So as I then start to bend and go forwards, I'm going to allow my torso just to go forwards, but making sure that I'm not actually bending my spine over, making sure that I'm bending at the hip. So think about trying to get your belly button towards your front knee as you go down. And then what we'll do is we'll bring that foot forwards again and we'll do the same side. So we're just going to work on 10 on one side slowly, and then we'll switch over and we'll do 10 on the other side. So get yourself set up, feet are shoulder width wide, hands you can put wherever you want. Ready, off we go. So take a step back. As you lunge, lean the torso forward slightly and then push back. Same side again. Step back, lunge. Good. Nice and controlled descent on the way down. So we're keeping control. So you should feel the glute muscles fire up on this side that you've got the foot forwards. So I've got my left foot forward so I can feel that in the left hip. Make sure you're keeping that weight predominantly through the heel of that front foot. So you can then make sure we're working that posterior chain, working the glute muscles. That's 6, we've got 4 more. So step back, lunge, just lean that torso forwards. Remember I said about thinking about pushing the belly button towards your thigh as you go down. And that will just allow a little bit more hip flexion. 2 more. Slow and controlled. Good, last one on this side. Good, right. Should have felt that on that front leg around the bottom. Let's do the other leg. So I'm on my right foot now, so I'm going to take my left foot back. Off we go. So take a step back. As you lunge, hip hinge a little bit, pushing the belly button forwards. Bring the foot back. And again, step back, lunge, come forwards. And again, step back, lunge. So real slow and controlled. Because we're only using a body weight, we haven't got any additional weights with this one. If you've got some, you can use them if you want to. Just hold on to a set of dumbbells or something. But we want to try and slow the movement down so we can really start to work harder into this muscle group. That's 5. We're going to do 5 more. So step back, remember to hip hinge, lean the torso forwards just a little bit, but keep that lower back neutral, so don't bend the spine over. Good, 3 more. Step back, controlled. Feel the weight through that front heel. Last 2. Good, 1 more. Nice and steady. You might feel this in your quads a little bit as well. Good. Okay, brilliant. Right, let's go on to the next one, which is the hip hinge. Okay, the next one is the hip hitch. This is quite a technical one and the movement's very, very small, but it isolates the glute medius, the muscle right on the outside of the hip on the foot that you're standing on. So essentially what you'll do is you might need to use a support for this. So I'm going to do this near the wall because we don't want to work on your balance. So you can hold on to something for a support. But essentially from there, I'm going to lift this leg off the floor by getting the pelvis to tilt. So I'm lifting this one up, which is driving this hip in so I can activate that glute medius muscle. We're going to hold for a count of 3, lower back down, and then lift up again. So it's quite a small, subtle movement, but it's just getting that pelvis to tilt, and that will isolate this muscle on this side. So get yourself set up near a support like a wall if you need it. And then if you're going to do it near the wall, just the foot that's on the one that's closest to the wall is the one that you're going to work on. So get yourself ready. Off we go. So we're going to hip hinge, lift that leg up, hold for a count of 3, and then lower. And again, lift, hold, and lower. Straight away, as soon as you lift at the top, you'll feel that fire up the muscle deep in that hip, and then lower. It's 3. And again, lift, hold, and lower. Good. Lift, hold, and lower. And again, squeeze it up. Really think about trying to push that hip in to lift this side up. Lower back down. And again, lift, hold, and lower. Good. And again, squeeze it up. Lift, lift, lift. Hold it in. Lower back down. 3 more. Lift and hold. Good. 2 more. Squeeze it up. Push that hip in. Fire up that muscle around the side of the hip. Last one. Lift and hold. And lower. Oh, right, should have felt that one around the side of your hip. Let's turn around so you can do the same on the other side. Again, if you're using the support. So, make sure you're nice and steady on that foot. And then we're going to lift this side up. Ready? Off we go. So lift, push that hip in on the leg that you're standing on. Hold for a few seconds. Lower back down. And again, lift and hold. Squeeze it in and down. Lift. Hold it there. So we're just using that isometric contraction at the top just to really start to fire up that muscle. That's 4. And again, lift, hold, and lower. So we're not thinking about trying to lift this leg at this hip. This one's just dangling as you drive through that other leg to lift the pelvis up, which is what's lifting the leg up. So you're not trying to force the leg up by lifting the knee. It should all just be from the tilt of the pelvis. Lower back down. Let's do 3 more. Lift and hold. Should be feeling that now around the side of your hip on that support leg. 2 more. Lift and hold. Lower. 1 more. Lift up, squeeze in, and lower. Okay, good. Right, should have found that around the side of the hip. Next one we're going to do is go on to the curtsey squat. Right, moving on to the curtsey squat then. Again, this is another technical one, so you need to make sure you do the technique properly. If you start with your feet to shoulder width wide, I'm going to start working on my left foot. So what I want you to do is then pivot on that left foot, so you're turning the pelvis out to the right. Okay, so it's the left leg that we're working. What that's done is now externally rotated this hip, so it's already started to fire up the muscles around the side of that hip. When I've tilted the pelvis round, twisted it, I'm then going to take a step straight back from that direction. Now you might need to use something for a support, so I've got the use of the sofa here. And then make sure you keep the weight through the heel of this front foot. And what's really important is that this knee doesn't come inwards, because that's going to put stress on the knee. So I want to make sure that we continually externally rotate this hip, which means driving that knee outwards as you then drop down into this curtsey squat position and then push yourself back up to standing. Okay, so you're really going to feel this around this side. So set yourself up, use the support if you need it. Make sure the back foot's up on the ball of the foot. We're going to do 10, and then what we'll do is we'll switch sides. So off we go. Nice and steady as you go down. You can lean the torso forwards a little bit like when we did the reverse lunge. Push through the heel, drive yourself back up, then back down again. Drive yourself up. So straight away you'll feel that around the side of the hip. Push. That's 3. 4. 5, 6, 4 more, 7, 8, last 2, 9, keep this knee out, 1 more, and 10, good. Oh, leg nearly gave way then. Right, let's switch over and do the same on the right foot. So again, I'm going to start off putting the weight on the right foot, turn my pelvis to the left slightly, and then from there take that left foot straight back, making sure that I've got most of the weight through that front heel. This knee goes outwards, use the support if you need it. Keep the body relatively upright, but you can lean forwards a little bit on the way down. Off you go. 1, 2, keep that knee out. 3, 4, 5, good. Keep forcing that knee outwards. 6, 7, make sure the weight's through that front heel. 8, last 2, 9, 1 more, and 10. Good. Excellent. Right, we're going to do one more standing exercise, which is the single leg Romanian deadlift. Right, moving on to our last standing exercise, which is the single leg RDL. So what I want you to do for this one, again, because we're on one leg, you might want to hold on to something for support if you think you're going to need it. But we're going to start off on my left leg. It's basically a hip hinge. So the important bit with this is as you hip hinge, allowing the hip to flex, allow the other leg to go up behind you. But the important bit is to make sure that this lower back stays in a neutral spine position. So what we don't want to do is we don't want to get so far and then start to collapse the spine down. So to help that, keep the head and the chest up as you're hinging at this hip. If you feel this in your hamstrings on the back of the leg too much, then just allow this support leg knee just to bend a little bit more so we can then work more into the glute rather than the hamstring. But you're probably going to feel this in the hamstring and the quad a little bit as well. So get yourself set up, knee your support if you need it. Ready? Off we go. So hinge, go down as low as you can and then drive that hip up and forwards to bring you back to standing, and then go again. Slow, and then drive back up. That's 2. Keep that knee bent just to take a little bit of pressure off the hamstring. 3. 4, good. Remember to keep the head and the chest up so your spine stays neutral. That's 5. 5 more and then we'll swap sides. 6. 7. Last 3. Should be feeling that now on the back. 8. 2 more. 9. Last 1. And 10. Good. Right. Let's switch over to the other leg, do the same thing. Again, use the support if you need it. So, up onto that one foot, keep a slight bend in that support leg in the knee, and then hip hinge from there, keeping the head and the chest up as you go down, and then drive the hip forwards, squeeze the glutes at the top, and then back down again. 2. 3. Good. 4. If you're feeling that more in the hamstring, just bend the knee more as you go down. 5. 6. Should be feeling that all the way down the back. 7. Keep that going. Nice and steady. 8. Last 2. 9. One more. And 10. Good work. Okay, right, we're going to go down to the floor next. So get your mat ready if you think you're going to need it. Right, now we're down on the floor. We're going to start with a glute bridge. So what I want you to do is have your feet about hip distance wide. Lie yourself back down, and then you want to try and get the heels of your feet as close as you can to your bottom as well. So that would just take a bit of pressure off the hamstrings. We're not going to do this as a standard glute bridge where we're just raising the hips up and down. What we're going to do is we're going to push through both feet to drive the hips up. We're then going to take one foot off the floor, and then we're going to use the other leg just to lower down slowly. So we're working through what's known as an eccentric contraction to really start to help to strengthen up those glutes. So we're going to work alternating between the 2 legs, and we're going to do 20 in total, so it'd be 10 on each leg. So get yourself set up. Hands you can put on the floor for a bit of support if you need it. So keep the feet close to your bottom before you start. Off we go. So let's raise up, hips up as high as you can. Squeeze those glutes, lift one foot off the floor just an inch, and then slowly lower back down. Good, foot back down. So both to drive up. Let's do the opposite side this time, foot off, slowly lower back down. That's 2. And again, both feet to drive up, foot off, slowly lower down. That's 3. Drive up, foot off, slowly down. 4, good. Both feet down, so drive up with both feet, hips up as high as you can. Really hold the pelvis at the top before you lower down. 5, lift, hold, slowly lower. 6, lift, hold, slowly lower. 7, 8. If you're feeling this more in the hamstrings, as soon as you take the foot off the floor, think about pushing the foot that's on the floor forwards. So that was just like trying to slide it forwards away from you. squeeze, lift, lower. Okay, we're about halfway through, I think that's 10. I've got a tendency to lose count. Slowly down. 11, both feet to drive up as high as you can. Hold, slowly lower. 12, good. 8 more. Drive up, lift the foot, slowly down. So we're trying to keep that pelvis stable when you lift the foot up off the floor. Hold it stable before you begin to lower. Good. Drive up, foot off, slowly down. And again, drive up both feet up as high as you can. As the glutes begin to tire, you might find you can't get your hips up quite so high. So really focus on lifting up, squeezing those glutes together before you lower down. Good, let's do 5 more. Squeeze up, foot off, slowly down. 4 more. Drive up, foot off, lower. Good. Squeeze, lower. And again, lift, hold, slowly down. Good. Let's do 2 more. Lift, hold, slow down. Last one. Drive up as high as you can, squeeze it, foot off, slowly down. Good. Well done. Right, let's go on to the next one, which is the abductor routine. Okay, we're going to move on to a mini routine where we're going to lie on one side and we're going to put a little bit of focus onto the glute muscles right on the side of the hip. So you're going to lie yourself down on one side. Make sure that you've got your hips stacked one on top of the other. And then we're going to be working purely on this top leg to start off with. So the first one is where we're going to actually do some kicks. So we're going to be driving the knee up towards you, and then as we push the leg out straight, we're also going to think about trying to take it backwards slightly. We're going to do that 5 times. Then we're going to do 5 leg raises where we're just keeping the leg straight, raising it up and down. Then we're going to keep it raised and do 5 circles, just purely focusing around the hip, circling around one way, and then we'll do 5 circles the other way. Then we're going to do 5 arc movements. That's where we're going to again keep the leg straight, taking the toes to the front of the leg and then taking the toes to the back. So we're going 1 in front, 1 behind, so we're making an arc shape, and then we'll finish off with the final set of 5 kicks before we then swap sides. So set yourself up ready. Make sure you've got your hips stacked one on top of the other. Let's start off with the kicks first. So we're going to raise the leg up, bring the knee in towards you, and then push the leg out straight, trying to take it back behind you slightly. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 more, 5. Good. Keep that leg straight, and then we're going to lower it back down and then raise it straight up for 5. 1, 2, 3, should be feeling that here already. 4, 1 more, 5. Right, keep the leg up. We're going to make circles going around in one direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then go the opposite direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. Now we're going to make that arc shape. So let the toes drop down in front of you to the floor. And then we're going to take it up and back behind you, toes drop down behind, and then back to the front. So that's 1, behind, then in front. That's 2, behind, in front. 3, make sure your hips stay stable. That's 4, 1 more. That's 5. Right, it should be burning by now. Last lot of 5 kicks. So bring that knee in and then push it out, really squeeze. 1, 2, 3, 4. Last one. And 5. Good. Okay. Should have felt that on the top of the hip. Right, let's switch over onto the opposite side. So we do the opposite leg. Same sort of routine again. So make sure you've got your hips stacked one on top of the other. Okay, let's start off with the kicks. So raise the leg up and then bring that knee in towards you and then drive it back out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we're going into the leg raise. So keep the leg straight, lift it straight up and down. 1, don't bring it too far in front of you. 2, so we're trying to keep the leg back. 3, 4, 5. Hold it up, circling around one way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Opposite way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good, making that arc shape now. So drop the toes down in front and then take the toes behind the opposite leg. So behind and then in front. 1, 2, 3, 4. Should be burning now here. 5. Okay, last lot with the 5 kicks. So bring that knee in, drive the leg out. 1, 2, 3, should be burning. 4, last one, and 5, and relax. Oh, I hope you felt that one like I did. Right, we're going to go on to all fours now for the next one. Okay, for the next one we're going to do a hip extension, but we're going to be on all fours to start off with. So make sure your hands are directly underneath your shoulders and your knees are directly underneath the hips. And then to start off with one leg, you're just going to straighten that leg out behind you so you've got the toes on the floor. And the movement is to extend the hip by trying to lift that leg straight up towards the ceiling. And if you can put a little bit of external rotation into the hip joint, which basically means my toes will start to turn outwards slightly. What you've got to be careful of though is to make sure that your lower back doesn't arch. So what you don't want to try and do is raise it up so high that you end up then having this arch in your lower part of your back. So pull your tummy in nice and tight just to try and limit any pelvic movement. So set yourself up ready on all fours. Start off with your one leg out straight behind you so the toes are on the floor. And then when we lift at the top, we're going to hold it for a few seconds before we lower. So lift that leg up, rotate outwards slightly, keep control, lower back down. And again, lift straight back up. Make sure the pelvis stays still, hold it for a couple of seconds and down. And again, lift, hold and lower. Good, lift, hold. Make sure you're keeping that lower back stable. And again, up, squeeze that glute and down. 5 more. Lift, really feel that work into the glutes around the bottom. Down. 4 more. Lift and hold. Keep pulling the tummy in so you're not generating any pelvic movement. 3 more. Hold and down. Last 2. Good. 1 more on this side. Squeeze that glute and down. Right, good. Bring that knee back in. Let's do the same on the opposite side. So straighten out the leg first of all. Make sure everything's square. And then from there we're going to lift straight up. So lift, rotate outwards a little bit if you can. Pull the tummy in tight so you're limiting the movement of the pelvis. And then down. And again, lift, rotate, squeeze that glute and down. Lift, hold and lower. Good. Lift, hold. Brilliant. That's 4 again. Squeeze at the top. Last 5. Make sure you're keeping everything else in the body still, just getting that extension of the hip as you raise up. Squeeze. 4 more. Lift, hold. Last 3. Good. 2 more. Hold it at the top for a few seconds. Last 1. Should be feeling that right in the back of your bottom now. And down. Good. Bring that knee in and relax. And we're going to lie down on your back for the last one. Okay, the last exercise then is going to be a frog bridge. So this is a slight variation of the glute bridge we did earlier. So you're going to be led down on your back. Your feet are going to be closer together this time rather than being a hip distance wide. And you're going to let the knees just drop out to the side. So we're going to do a similar sort of movement to the bridge where we're lifting the actual hips up off the floor. But for the 10 reps that we're going to do, we're going to add some pulses in at the top and we're going to increase or add one on each repetition. So essentially what will happen is you'll tilt the pelvis backwards, flatten the lower back into the floor, lift your hips up as high as you can, lower back down, and then on the next one we'll go up, drop a little bit, and then try and do another squeeze. So we'll do a secondary squeeze and then down, and then on the third rep we'll do 3 squeezes at the top. So get yourself ready, feet quite close together, let the knees drop out to the side, hands on the floor. So tilt your pelvis backwards, trying to flatten the lower back into the floor, lift the hips up as high as you can, squeeze, and then down. Good. Next one we're going to do it for 2. So lift, squeeze at the top, lower a bit, squeeze again, and then back down. Okay, now for 3. So lift, second pulse, 2, squeeze, third one, squeeze, then back down. Now we're going up for 4. Lift, 2, 3, 4. Good. And then back down. Now for 5. So lift, pulse at the top, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. Keep the knees out to the side. This time for 6. Lift, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You should be starting to feel that in your glutes now. And again, this time for 7. So lift, squeeze, 2, 3, only lowering a little bit, 4, every pulse, just a couple of inches, 5, 6, 7, and down. Good, this time for 8. So pelvic tilt back, lift, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Good. Lower back down. Just got 2 more reps to do. So this one for 9. So lift the tailbone up and then squeeze up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Good. Last one for 10. Here we go. Pelvic tilt back, flatten that back out, and then lift the hips up. Keep the knees out. 1, 2, push the knees outwards. 3, 4, as you push the hips up. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Last one. 10. Good, and relax. Whew. Okay, that finishes off your exercises. Let's do a few stretches just to cool down. Right, let's do a couple of relaxed stretches just to finish off, just to stretch out those muscles around your hip. So to start off with, I want you to lie yourself down on your back, and then I want you to bring one foot up and across onto the opposite knee. So we're creating like this triangle shape between your legs. There should be a gap now, a triangular gap. I want you to put your hand through so you can grab hold of the leg that's currently on the floor, and then just think about trying to pull that leg towards you. So that's going to start to pull this foot towards you, towards your face, and then that should generate a little bit of a stretch here around the side of the hip. So just gently put it in. When you feel the stretch, hold it there, relax your breathing. If the stretch begins to dissipate a little bit, then you can try and just pull it in just a little bit more. Good. Okay, release that one. Let's switch over. So opposite foot across onto the knee, where you got that triangular gap. Place your hand through, grab hold of the other leg, and start to bring it up towards you to get the stretch around the side of the hip. If you're more flexible, which probably most of you are than I am, you'll probably be able to get this leg to go further back. So again, relax while you're in that position, focus on your breathing, just to feel that stretch around the side of the hip. Good. Okay, and release. Right, and the last stretch we're going to do is we're going to go over onto your front. So this is where we want one knee to go up underneath you, like this. So the foot of this leg is going to be kind of like underneath the hip. Place your hands on the floor, and what I want you to think about is imagine you're trying to move your body across if I've got my left knee underneath me, so I'm going to try and move my hips across to the left. So the idea is I'm keeping my hips square. I want to try and keep this hip from falling backwards that way. I want to try and drive that right hip down to the floor to get more of a stretch on the left side of the hip. But just move yourself across, and if you want to increase it, you can take the elbows down to the floor, but keep this hip pushed down towards the floor, towards that foot. And as that rotates the hip slightly, you should feel a nice deep stretch now around the outside of that hip. So keep your hips square to the floor. If anything, you're trying to turn your pelvis in towards that leg that's on the floor, in towards the knee and in towards the thigh. Relax your breathing as you hold the stretch. Again, if it begins to dissipate a little bit and you want to move deeper into the stretch, you can do that. Good. All right, come back out of that one. Let's switch over. So, bring the leg up nice and tight up underneath you. So the foot of this leg is underneath the opposite hip. Remember to keep the pelvis square. We're going to shift across towards that side. Drop the elbows down if you want to, just until you can feel that stretch. So keep twisting in towards that leg that's on the floor. Move yourself further across if you feel that you can. Good. Okay, slowly bring yourself out of the stretch. Okay, hopefully that will alleviate some of the pain that you might get over the next few days. So the good thing is you might want to do some of those stretches as well over the next few days if you feel a little bit tight. But well done, you're all finished. I hope you can still stand after that workout. If you enjoyed it, be sure to give it a like by clicking the thumbs up button below. Thank you so much for watching, and remember to stay active, keep moving, and I'll see you next week. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video today, please give it a thumbs up. You can also click here to subscribe to this channel, or click here to watch a recent video. See you soon.